Today, we explore how Ray Kroc balanced calculated risk with bold decision making, from securing franchise deals to borrowing heavily to finance his expansion. Ray Kroc understood the delicate balance between risk and reward. Here's a quote from Ray Kroc: "You're only as good as the people you hire." So think about how you can apply that to your life today. Welcome back, brilliant listeners, to another episode of the Brilliant Professor Ish podcast, where we talk about life unscripted on so many different levels. I'm your host, Dr. V, your brilliant solutionist and college professor turned life professor ish. Remember, if you like this vibe, be sure to share and subscribe to our YouTube channel, hit that notification bell, and leave your comments and thoughts below. We love hearing from our amazing community of viewers and listeners. Let's ignite a conversation and inspire each other to join a movement of helping brilliant people bankrupt 1 billion burial plots by moving from resume to reinvention to remarkable, so they can live a life poured out above ground before all of their brilliance goes underground. Be sure to check the corresponding blog post for the show notes and highlights, and that information will be in the description box below. Today, we are kicking off an extraordinary series that ties into our opulent thinking for opulent results and opportunities theme that will empower and inspire you to unlock your true desire and reach new heights of success, fulfillment, and purpose. Let's dive into how Ray Kroc thought about calculated risk taking and touch on his approach to being a quote unquote risky leader. So we're going to look at his thought process. We're going to look at his leadership, and we are going to go dive deeper into those categories. So Ray Kroc understood the risk of expanding McDonald's through franchising, especially since he had to finance much of the initial growth through loans. There was one scene in the film where his home had almost gone into foreclosure because he was 3 months behind on a large loan from the bank. Even so, his confidence in the model and his ability to manage risk intellectually and intelligently is a hallmark of his decision-making process. He understood that it was not about being reckless. Rather, he believed that risk, when mitigated by strategic control and operational efficiency, could lead to huge rewards. Now, you may be in a situation where on the outside, you have it all together. You may have some clients, you have gotten the promotion, etc., but your finances aren't quite matching up. This doesn't always mean that you're not supposed to be moving in the current direction. While one definition of risk is the possibility of something bad happening, another definition of risk is that it involves uncertainty about the effects or implications of an activity with respect to something that we value, such as health, well-being, wealth, property, or the environment. When you take the sting out of it, you realize that life is a risk. So starting or scaling a business, advancing a career, or expanding any other area of your life is just another activity. Ray Kroc led by example. He showed others how to take calculated risk by consistently reinvesting in the business and expanding operations. He instilled this in his franchisees as well, encouraging them to adopt the same growth mindset. Now, let me say this: reinvesting is great, but remember to pay yourself as well, because you are the greatest asset. Knowing what I know now, I would definitely pay myself and stash away actual cash before reinvesting everything back into my business. And this also includes learning, like personal development or business development. If you're not stable in your well-being, it will be challenging for you to scale in other areas or to scale other people. But of course, you do what's best for you, and be sure to seek wise financial counsel. So let's take a deeper dive into taking calculated risk. It's important to understand the subtle difference between risk and calculated risk. The concept is that a calculated risk can be made after processing information and making a determination that the risk is worth taking. It's not just taking a chance. Ray Kroc embodied this principle. He wasn't reckless, but he wasn't afraid to take risks when he believed in the potential outcome. Ray educated himself, and even when smaller milestones didn't work as expected, he stayed focused on the model, which is building the franchise model. Once you count the costs and have done your due diligence, you have to, and I repeat, you have to take the leap. This is when you will receive data and feedback about what to do next. You won't have all the answers before you take action. That's why even a calculated risk is still a risk. Now let's talk about financial gamble. We already discussed the financial risk Ray took, particularly mortgaging his home and going into debt to buy out the McDonald's brothers. But Ray moved from calculated risk to making calculated decisions, knowing that these risks could pay off with the right execution. To decide means to cut off every other possibility. This is not a choice, and there was no plan B for Ray. How sold out on your vision are you? Would you take a financial gamble if you were on the outside looking in? Are you still exploring options, or have you finally decided that it's all or nothing? Your actions will always tell the truth. So we're going to talk about risk and long-term thinking. Ray Kroc always kept an eye on the long-term reward, not just the short-term risk. This is crucial to the entrepreneurial mindset, not just being an entrepreneur, but having an entrepreneurial mindset. Sometimes you have to take a hit now and reap the benefits later. Too many of us want to eat the fruit the same day we plant the seed, but it doesn't always work that way. We've operated like this for most of our lives, but when it comes to business or investing in non-traditional education, we immediately look for the ROI, or the return on investment. Perhaps things aren't moving because you're giving off lower self vibration, like lack or desperation. Our results will come in seasons, just like God created the universe. So why are we expecting to skip the time in the formula of seed, time, and then harvest? Now, don't get me wrong. I do believe in quantum jumps and leaps, but that is not sustainable. And if it was sustainable, God would have given us that model to follow instead. Now let's go into risk mitigation strategies. While Ray Kroc took risk, he wasn't careless. He mitigated them by creating franchises that passed some of the financial risks to others while maintaining control of the brand. Now, this is beyond this episode today, but I wanted to make sure that I plant the seed of diversification. This is another reason why you don't reinvest everything back into your business or into the same business. This is also why it's important to have multiple streams of income, because while you take risk, you also want to make sure you mitigate that risk. And this leads to knowing and understanding the market. Ray Kroc understood the market dynamics of timing. A calculated risk requires deep understanding of the market and timing, which allowed him to innovate when others played it safe. Here's a great example of what it means to be a lifelong learner. You can't just stay in your silo of knowledge. Depending on how big your vision and mission is, you want to make sure you learn everything you can about your field and also any areas you are working to elevate. This isn't about just regurgitating information. It's about filtering what you've gathered through your own thoughts to create new ideas. That's what Ray did, and that's what you're seeing some of the greatest people of our time doing today. But it does take courage. So here's that word again, action. Many business owners, entrepreneurs, and high-level career professionals struggle with fear of failure. And some of you may struggle with the fear of success. Like, oh man, what do I do when this actually works out? Looking to Ray, he had the ability to embrace uncertainty and take action despite the risk, and that was a defining trait of his success. Fear is just another emotion, but we give it so much power. So how about instead of avoiding fear, you embrace it and let your body know that it is just a feeling. But did you know that fear and excitement have some of the same physiological traits? So the next time you feel fear, trick your brain and say you're just super excited about whatever you're about to do. Your body won't know the difference, so why not go ahead and be delulu about it? Now, we may not even say that phrase anymore, but you get what I'm saying. So take hold of courage and be delusional about what you can actually accomplish today. So, of course, we don't just talk about it, we walk it out. And here's some action steps I want you to take. So, number one, evaluate the risk. Take a current challenge or opportunity in your business, career, or another area of your life. List the risk, then consider the potential reward. What is your calculated risk? I don't think a lot of us think about our rewards, and that's why we're under celebrated as a society, but that's another topic for another day. The second action step you can take is to think about the worst case scenario. What's the worst thing that could happen if you take the leap? Develop a contingency plan that makes the risk manageable. Now, this is not about a plan B. So, for example, let's say you're wanting to purchase a house. Think about the worst possible thing that can happen, such as a fire or foreclosure or insert whatever. Now, allow your body to feel the real emotions and then think about what you would or could actually do if that ever happened. You will realize that you're stronger than you think, or you will realize where you need to build up some resilience. Now, number three, as always, take action. Identify one bold move where you've been hesitating to make. Decide today to take action within the next 7 days, not 7 weeks, not 7 months, or not 7 years, but 7 days. All right, so let me know which step you are going to focus on with a start date and end date. And I trust that you enjoyed this episode, which is part of Mastering the Entrepreneur Mindset, Lessons from the Ray Kroc series, where we discuss calculated risk-taking by balancing caution and bold moves. Stay tuned for our next episode where we will discuss unyielding competitive spirit, cultivating the desire to win. And as we close, remember, a calculated risk requires a deep understanding of the market and timing, which allows you to innovate when others play it safe. It is my hope that something I said provided value, challenged your thinking, or made you say, Let me know your thoughts below so we can turn this monologue into a dialogue. Keep living life unscripted, which means to stop following the path others have laid out for you. And remember that your unique spark is the igniter to a wildfire of genius that cannot be extinguished. Until next time, I'll see you on the other side.